The vendors in Manila, they'll walk around the neighborhood yelling out, Balut, Balut, Balut ka dyan, ganon sila. Magandang hapon mga kabayan, ako po si Chris Urbano, bringing you food and fun from the Philippines as always. And today I'm going to talk about the concept of Filipino Frankenfoods. Frankenfoods, mga kabano. So this is the idea of foods that resembles Frankenstein's monster. Leg here, an arm there, a torso there, all stitched together, some nuts and bolts hanging out of it that came alive to an electric shock. And when we talk about Frankenfoods, it's kind of the culinary equivalent of that. And the idea here is this is something a bit scary, a little bit revolting, and the Philippines has a lot of Frankenfoods. Each of these I'm going to be rating on a very objective criteria. I call it my kadiri barometer, or my ick factor, and I'm just going to give you a 1 to 10 on, for me, how kadiri this is. Kadiri is a technical term for anyone who's not a Tagalog speaker out there, but pretty much kind of means gross or you know when you see it. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so of course I have to start off with the elephant in the room, Frankenfood, or you might say the embryo in the egg of Filipino Frankenfoods, and that is of course the balut. Balut is basically, you know, an egg that has been fertilized. It has a duck embryo in it, but the embryo has not developed. And Filipinos will like crack this open, drink the soupy embryonic juice, eat the duck chick inside the egg. A couple of facts that are interesting about balut. One, the most well-known place for producing this delicacy is Pateros, which is borders on Pasig and Taguig City here in Metro Manila. And this is known as the balut or duck egg capital of the Philippines. My heartfelt congratulations go out to you for that claim to fame. Second is that the balut, it's normally 17 to 22 days is the period of, you know, how long the egg has developed for before it's consumed. And it depends on how young or old you want the chick. The next thing that's interesting about it is it comes in a few different variants. So obviously you have balut itself, which is 9 on the kadiri factor. Slightly lower on the kadiri factor is actually Pinoy, which is kind of effectively the duck egg that hasn't been fertilized with a chick inside, but it's still incubated. So the embryonic fluid kind of develops and kind of looks a bit more like a scrambled egg inside. And I think for me that's only like a 3 on the kadiri factor. But then if you want the 10 on the kadiri factor, that would be abnoy, which is you take your balut and then you let it start rotting from the inside for a little bit. And I have not tried that, I'm sorry. But you know, it's very popular here in the Philippines, very strong taste, and I've been told goes wonderfully in bibingka, which is like a coconut-based cake that Filipinos make. This really is a land of culinary contrast. You know what, I have tried this before. You know, I tried everything once. Honestly, didn't enjoy it that much. Okay, so next on my tour of Filipino Frankenfoods is kamaru, and particularly the dish adobong kamaru. So you guys have heard of adobo, I'm sure. Adobong kamaru is taking your classic adobo preparation and then applying that to crickets. Mole crickets in the Philippines are considered a crop pest, and in most first world economies they would probably, you know, use pesticide to control pests in the fields, right? So here in the Philippines the control for pests is to eat them. What better way to stop pests than actually just to eat them? Not only do you not poison the food you've got with chemicals, but you also get the nutritional value of eating the insects. And insects have very, very high nutritional value. It is almost pure protein, no fat, like the leanest meat out there. And it's becoming actually popular in snack foods. In the US, of course, I don't think we're going to get Americans to eat a whole cricket anytime soon, the way people commonly eat crickets and other bugs here in Southeast Asia. But what they're doing in the US now is they breed the crickets, they grind them up into cricket flour, and you then turn this into chips, or you turn it into like a protein bar, you know, mixed with some fruit and nuts or whatever, and that is actually pretty tasty. But here in the Philippines, you know, we still do the original straight up cricket. I've only tried this once, going in and eating the crickets. Frankly, the taste is totally fine. You just have to get through the mental barrier of I'm eating a cricket. If you can get through that mental barrier, this one's actually not that kadiri, so I'm just going to give it probably a 4 on the kadiri scale. I would definitely recommend having this with some beers on the side, and you will enjoy adobong kamaru much more. Okay, so third on my list of Filipino Frankenfoods that you must know about is of course dinuguan. Dinuguan comes from the Tagalog root word dugo, which means blood. So everybody would always ask me as Maputing Cooking, like, you know, hey Urbano, may dugo Filipino ka ba? So they're asking, do I have Filipino blood? And I hear that all the time. So dugo, I never forget that term. And dinuguan is a verb that means to cook something in blood or using blood. Hundreds of years ago, you have to make sure you get every bit of calories out of the animal, right? I mean, we don't have the luxury today of just eating the choice parts of meat. Even the blood would not go to waste, and it's used to make a sauce. Now it's usually flavored with things like sugar, vinegar, onions to make it into a more tasty accompaniment. And the dinuguan can be with actual pork meat, but often it's used as the pork innards will be cut up and served stewed in the dinuguan. It's usually consumed in one of two ways. Either it can be a merienda or afternoon snack, often with puto, which is like a little rice flour cake, or it can be a main meal, ulam, where it's served with rice and maybe other viands on the table. I actually don't mind the taste of this one at all. I've always found that I don't enjoy the texture as much of eating yung parang yung mga organ ng hayop. So I probably give dinuguan like a 5 on my kadiri factor. Okay, so next on the list of Philippine Frankenfoods, it is soup number 5. Now this is a very innocuous name, right? So you're thinking, oh, soup number 5. It's like when I go to the deli and I get like sandwich number 5. This is not sandwich number 5, you know, like the turkey breast and cranberry and rocket sandwich. Soup number 5 refers to bull testicles made into soup. There's no easy way to say that. And when it was first developed, apparently it was the, number 5 menu item on the particular restaurant or carniceria that was serving it up. So it became known as soup number 5, typically done with some herbs and spices to give it a more palated flavor. Honestly, on the kadiri factor, this is probably where I'm giving a 10. I guess this is a source of protein. It shouldn't be that gross. I'm sure the soup is delicious. Honestly, I have not eaten this one. This is really where I draw the line and just go, you know what, I'm not even going to try this once. I'd be happy to drink the broth, but do I want to have a bite into that? Probably not. Let's move on. Mga kabano, my last Frankenfood that I'm going to talk to you about today is Betamax. So Betamax, you're like, oh, aren't those the old video cassette tapes that didn't make it? Yes, that's exactly what we're talking about. Betamax was popular enough here that it's entered Philippine culinary arts as the name for coagulated pig blood shaped into a disc or a little square looking cassette tape, and then you put that on a stick and you grill it. This just seems like a wonderful afternoon delicacy that you should get into. I've tried Betamax a few times. It's pretty much like a black pudding in terms of the taste, but it's made more palatable by dipping it into suka, sausawan, a vinegar-based dipping sauce. I just don't really love the texture. Like, it tastes like paste, but also grainy, a little bit like eating liver in a way. I don't love it. It's okay. It's not that disgusting, I don't think. So for me, it's probably just like a 3 on the kadiri factor. And for our West Coast USA subscribers, and there are a lot of you, you can now get Betamax. You can go down to your nearby food truck, Ihaw, and you can get yourself some Betamax for $1. Were you guys feeling your stomach churning while going through all of these wonderful Filipino Frankenfoods? I mean, come on guys, most of them are delicious. I'd love it if you can leave a comment below letting me know your favorite Filipino Frankenfood experience. And of course, you can subscribe to the channel. You can press the button to never miss another episode. Ako po si Chris Urbano. Great seeing you guys, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.